Hi everyone, I wasn't going to record this video tonight at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday evening, but while it's fresh in my head, while I'm reflecting on these experiences, I do want to share it with you. And today I actually want to call out some PT practice owners, not just PT practice, chiropractors, physicians, nurses, OTs, anyone in this area, RDs. What I want to talk about is having an exit plan. Now, it depends on where you are in your career, but no matter what, you want to have a visualized long-term goals. You set goals for your patients, right? You set short-term goals and long-term goals. You set things based on the needs, right? Based on the stage of condition, pissed off tissues, gotta let them cool down, and then you gotta build up their strength. And then the long-term goals is to bring that into function. Now, what about your long-term goals here? And I bring this up because I actually went on a couple job interviews today. We're at a transition point because we just moved, and so I'm looking for work. But something that I've noticed recurring for all the practices that I've been to is an area that everyone wants, but maybe has not reflected through enough. And I'll go into a couple topics, but I'll try to stay on topic here. We know that reimbursement sucks for physical therapy. It's been sucking and it's going to get worse. Medicare's cutting. Apparently, Blue Shield in this area pays $60 for a visit if you bill 5 codes. That's insane. And don't get me started on the IPAs, the HMOs, and Cigna and United Healthcare. This is just one area, and it's not good. And you have all that nonsense with the Medicare par payments, and Medicare's kind of what the bread and butter of PT, and it's so heavily regulated. Now, I'm not asking you to break protocol. I really want you to stay on protocol here and behave as if you should be when it comes to marketing, when it comes to patient care and care management. Those are all really important things. That's what you were trained for, and it's really important. But I know you're tired. Every practice owner that I've been talking to, whether they're in their infancy, they're in their maturation, or they're getting ready to retire, you don't want to be doing this for the rest of your life. You want to be a part of the business. You want to be managing. You want to be teaching, but you don't want to be grinding all the time. And I talked about this in all my interviews. You don't want to be quote unquote just a clinician. There's nothing wrong with being a clinician. It's a great blessing to be a clinician, to be an active part of someone else's care. That's what we were charged with. That was the responsibility we have, especially as doctors of our profession here. Or if you're not a doctor, if you're a master or a bachelor, you still have should have that level of stewardship to take care of your patients and the resources that you have. But how do you do that best? And you use the resources that are given to you, right? You use the time that's allocated, and you do your best with your patients. But what if the patient could get more? What if you could get more? And to do that, you need to amplify your voice. You need to create systems. And I'm going to borrow from my mentors, Greg Todd and his mentor, Myron Golden, and several people within this network. You have to know the levels of value. This is a big Myron Golden concept. We can't stay at that level 1 where you're an implementer here. And implementation's great. It's important. It's critical. But as a practitioner, you are an implementer, and your value is going to be capped off at that one-to-one time for value, time for income. And your time is so valuable. if you're capped off there, how can you amplify your value? So maybe you step up to that next level of the value staircase, and that's unification, being a manager, being a leader. But that's still kind of one-to-one time for money, time for value, and and it's really important to have great unifiers too. And unification is part of your responsibility, but it can't be the end all be all, because at the end of the day, how can you implement, how can you unify if nobody's coming through the doors, if you're not creating a system, if you are the driver and the sole operator and everyone that follows kind of has the same operator mindset? So what's that next level? This is where the fun part really begins, and you can see a lot of expansion here. And I'll bring this back into the sense of what's your, maybe not exit strategy, but your next level strategy, and that's communication. And I'll give you a preview of what the final step of this value ladder is, and that's imagination. But communication is where things can really take off for you, because you're now crafting your brand. You've spent so many years building up a reputation, and I know this. Everyone that I've worked under, they've, when starting out, going door to door, calling up doctors, providing luncheons, and just working your tail off to create that network where you have those referral systems. And I'm sure if you've been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years, you've had a lot of doors close in your face too. That's just the way it is. It can feel like a competitive place. So what do? You need to create more of you. You need to amplify you. You need people to know who you are, because not only do you need patients to walk in through the door, you need them to be your ambassadors. You need them to find value in what you do above the value of what you provide to the insurance companies. And yes, you provide traditional care. Don't get me wrong. You do that. You do go through the plan of care. But tell me, how many patients actually have not returned because they were happily ever after when they were done with your plan of care? They've always need something. Sometimes they don't want to leave. Sometimes it's this after the next thing. And there's multiple comorbidities, multiple issues here. It's a clinical management issue, but it's also can be a logistical nightmare when it comes to worrying about overutilization issues. So considering all those things, how do you communicate so that those patients become your ambassadors and they buy into your brand here? Because face it, and if you're a business owner, you know that you have to sell, and selling is not bad. Selling is a healthy thing. Selling is critical. It's crucial to your practice. It's crucial to your patient's recovery. If you cannot sell them their plan of care, they will not buy it. If they don't buy it, they're not going to follow it. Now, don't sell unethically, but you have to sell it. And on that other hand, with communication, you also need to create mini yous. And part of that becomes an issue of trust. You have to trust your staff, and that means you have to choose your staff well. But how do you choose them well if all the people going through their DPT programs, the majority gets funneled into a dinosaur mindset? And I don't know if you're familiar with the term Dino PT or maybe Bobo PT. It's the refusal to grow, to level up, to adapt, and you're clinging on to those old ways where you could build the things that you used to build, provide the way you used to provide. You know that it's not possible, but and you're trying to get your staff to jump on, but your staff, they were, if they've been trained in the last 5 to 10 years, you kind of have to undo certain things, because a lot of them were aides once, and they learned kind of the old way, prepare hot pack to the e-stim, and they're trying to get out of that mindset, but it was cultivated early on. So you have to be that voice of change now, and you have to be authentic. and create your brand that way. So find that communication platform and start broadcasting it, even if it's kind of crappy, because it's not going to be the one time that you communicate. You need to do it over and over and over again. Those are the principles of branding, marketing. Your customers, your audience, they have to know you, then they have to like you, and then they have to trust you before you can do anything else with them. So that's your level up plan. You need to promote yourself there in a healthy way to bring in more clients, more customers, more patients, but also to bring in more providers that are going to share your vision. Because if they don't share your vision, how can you turn it over? If they don't know what to expect, you're always kind of at the mercy of hoping, praying that you can find somebody who's going to share your vision when you hire them, when you go on Indeed, LinkedIn, Monster, the APTA, CPTA website. It's kind of a gamble. Who are you going to get? And here's the other kicker here. It's kind of a catch-22. A lot of people want experienced PTs, people who've been in practice for many years, because they won't have to train them. They won't have to invest heavily into them to do the job. But is that what you want? Is that you just want a therapist that's sufficient enough to not worry about? Because I mean that serves a role. Maybe they do have some business acumen and experience, but maybe not. It's a gamble. Or maybe you'll get a new grad, and you're gonna be worried that they're so green that you're gonna have to invest so much time and energy in them, and maybe that's you're worried that that's also a gamble, and you're gonna have that sunk cost if it doesn't work out. So you're kind of stuck, right? Who do I take? How do I pass this vision on? It's tough. So this is why you need to start sharing early. Share your company values, share your personal values. What got you in here in the first place? And don't just give us the manicured stuff that you put on your website. That's great. It's cleaned up. The language is great. All the language is perfect. We want the authentic you, because that's who your staff is going to see every day. That's who they're going to follow. The person who really bears it all and really shows what they intend on doing. And if you find people paying attention and they still want to stick with you, that's the person you want to share your vision with. That's the person you want to start to take the reins and move forward, because the inauthentic candidates, you're going to see right through them, and they're not going to behave consistently and in congruency with the things that they tell you. But the authentic ones, maybe you might have to invest some time, but if the values are there, the morals are there, even if they don't go all the way with you, they're going to get you further and expand your vision, and because it's in alignment with theirs. It's that simple. And that ties into that last level of value. That's imagination. You want to get out of being a practitioner and become an educator. You want to become a leader. Well, what does that mean? What does that look like? You have to have an idea of that, and then you have to communicate it, and then you have to build it. And yes, that means you have to invest in yourself. You have to invest time and money. And that's scary, because you spent all of this time building up your practice, and for what purpose? But I'll tell you what, if you're on that trajectory right now where you're tired and you want to pass things on, but you just can't find the right person, you're not creating the systems, then how much longer can you keep this up for before you just have to close the doors? Because I've seen that happen too, and I'm really sad to have seen it happen, because it happened to clinics that to owners that I really admire, that I grew up learning from, and that's not good either. We need to see progression in this field, and you guys are the perfect candidates. A lot of my business mentors, they're telling us, we got to start the change early. But why not start the change from exactly where you are? you don't have to think of yourself as one way or the other, but if you want more for yourself and for your patients and your staff, then start being creative. I know it's scary, but every investment can be until you familiarize yourself, and a great way, a great piece of action that you can do right away. It's Tuesday, 11 p.m., and I'm recording this. I could be getting sleep. I should be getting sleep. And, it's just me talking here. I don't have any visuals. I'm just sharing my thoughts. Do the same. You have so much experience and you have so much passion. Share who you are. Talk about it. Do it every day. Even if it's the same thing, every day you're going to have a different take on it, and you're going to have something else you want to talk about, something that you learned significantly, saliently. People will want to know. People will want to hear this, but the onus is on you to do it. That's my free piece of advice for you. Start it and publish it. And I mean, if you're watching me, you've probably watched Gary Vee, because you're on a platform right now. You're on YouTube, and you're watching something. And Gary Vee, he was awful for years before his content took off and before he became such a wide and strong influence. And he'll tell everybody who asks him these questions the same thing, because how I know, because I've heard him talk about it on podcasts. Just you have to keep putting out content. You have to keep doing it consistently. It doesn't, like, don't try to shortcut it. You have to do it. And I mean, of course, you have to also grow in other ways. But if you're not putting any content out, then you're not going to get any engagement. You're not going to move forward. So move forward. Do it right now. I can't stress this enough. I'm Harold Pan, Doctor of Physical Therapy here, also inspired to help everyone that I come across, everyone who I perceive as a mentor or a potential mentor or partner. And if you have any questions, comments, you want to share, if you benefit from this video, please share it. Let me know what else you want to hear, what kind of topics, who you want me to talk about, and I will give my thoughts here. Best of luck. Make that video today.